The main thing we're talking about today is what we refer to as the end of term checklist. It's really just the process for wrapping up the semester. On our website on sbcc.edu/FRC, we have these buttons across the top, and one of these is just says checklist. If you click on this, it kind of has either instructions or videos for most of the things that we'll cover in here, but not necessarily everything. But if you forget how to do something, it's all in here. So a couple of these I won't go into great detail because there is a lot of detail up here. So we'll just start kind of our notes are a little bit different. So let me kind of go through some of this stuff. One of the questions that we've been getting a lot last semester and this semester is just making sure that your grades and your gradebook is correct. So I'm going to show my live class, so I'll blur this out when we post it. But there's a couple things that you want to kind of check on and look for. So first off is making sure that your gradebook is set up properly. Some people, I don't know why, may wait to the last minute to kind of check this stuff. But if you go under assignments, my class is set up for weights. So next to each category, I have a percentage. Up at the top under these three dots here, again, I'm in assignments, not in the gradebook. I can go to assignment group weights and I can verify that all my weights are actually equaling 100%. The only time that won't show that is if you're not weighting, if you're just doing a total of points, or if you have an extra credit category in here that you have at like 5 or 10% or whatever you have it set to. But generally, if you're weighting, you want to see all these calculating out to 100%. So that's one thing to check. Another thing to check is to make sure that your grading scale, if you have one set up, is actually using the one that you pointed out in your syllabi. So just under settings, and what you're looking for in the settings is the grading scheme. If you're not showing the letter grade to your students, this doesn't matter. If you have this off, they'll just see the percentage, then you might have the percentage written out in your syllabi, and that's fine. If you turn this on, students will actually see their letter grade. So if I go to view grading scheme, I can see the scheme that's being used, and I can also use a different one if I want to. So I can select another scheme, or I can make one and edit it. The key thing here, you don't have to use the SBCC grading scheme. Our pluses and minuses are optional, but just note if you make your own grade scheme setup that we don't allow, SBCC doesn't allow you to enter a C minus. So whatever grade scheme you're setting up, make sure that you do not have a C minus in it. You guys good on that stuff so far? Okay. Diving into the gradebook itself, of course, you want to make sure that everything has a grade value in it. So if you have any values in here that have a dash, you need to make sure that you go in and add zeros. This is due this week for this class, so these will be automatically added. But if I didn't see any numbers here, I'd want to make sure that these are added with zeros. If you don't have Canvas set up to automatically enter zeros, the way I would do this is go under the three dots and choose set default grade. Make sure that you do not check this box, which is unchecked by default. If you do that, it'll overwrite all your grades and you'll have no idea what was there beforehand. I would just enter a 0 here and hit set default grade, and then it'll enter zeros all the way down. Note that when you do that, it does send an email to the students that their grade has been entered. However, that grade is easily editable. So if you add those zeros and they turn something in afterwards, or you need to change the grade, you can still go in there and change it. That's not a big deal. One other thing in here that you might find helpful is being able to sort your grades. There's two filters that you can turn on. I have the modules filters already on. since I've got my class set up by modules, I can come in here and look at just one module. So I can look at, say, just this 1 week. And so I'm not scrolling back and forth through all of the grades. You add those by going under View, Filters, and you can add assignment groups or modules. Assignment groups are your groups or categories that we set up in the assignments area. So if I turn that on, I could say, look at all my modules, but show me just quizzes. And I could look at it this way. So, oh yeah, I remember. I want to show you. The last trick I like to show people, let me turn that back off so I don't frustrate myself later, is you'll notice that I've got my totals on the left-hand side instead of the very, very far end. If you want to do this, when you hover over total, you can click on these 3 dots and you can say move to end or move to front. So if I say move to end, this is what your gradebook normally looks like. So if I want to see a specific student's grade, I have to scroll all the way to the end to find their grade, and it's still a little hard to navigate across. If you click on a student's box, you can see it actually highlights that with the blue lines. So I can more easily see that this is the student I want to look at. But I find it, especially at the end of the semester, and especially when we come into actually entering final grades, to move that total column to the front. And then when I scroll the grades, the final grade just stays in place. So that's very, very handy. You can also sort these in case you don't know. So I can sort by low to high or high to low, or just by name. So if I go back under my student name, I could also sort by the last name in different orders. So however you want to do that. Can be handy for different screens that you're looking at and how you're setting things up. Good?
Yep.
Okay. And then, of course, the last step, which gets into submitting your grade packet, is actually exporting your gradebook. So the last step before you actually submit this stuff is to go up to Actions and choose Export. I tend to do this every few weeks anyway. And it will take a little bit. When you hit export, now my new one is here. It's also downloaded it as a CSV file. You can go in and clean up the CSV file. It doesn't look super pretty. But the reality is that admissions doesn't care. So unless you really want to spend time cleaning it up, you don't worry about it. In Pipeline, under the faculty tab, under class management, is also these steps, right? So if we go back to the FRC page, we've got to enter your positive attendance, enter final grades, enter SLOs. So when we're looking at this in Pipeline, towards the bottom here, you've got positive attendance. Unless you have a specific class that needs it, you won't need to do that. And then you've got grades, the faculty packet submission tool, your SLO scores, and then the syllabus upload tool. So now that if my grades were finished, I've got my CSV file, I can go to the faculty grade packet submission tool and then simply upload that CSV file. I can do it by dragging and dropping, or I can click on this click to upload. Either way, so if I do the click to upload, I could grab that CSV file and upload it. Obviously, my grades aren't ready yet, so until the semester ends, I can still delete this or change it. So I can just hit the X if it's the wrong one, and I can get rid of that file. So you want both of those to be green, and when you upload it, it'll give you a little ding that you didn't hear there. Good?
I don't get a ding. I get a really, really pretty sound. So
yeah, I call it a ding. It's like a little ching, little Tinkerbell.
little sound I don't get on anything else.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And then Say is going to walk through a couple of things, including entering grades.
Thank you. Just you need to enable participant sharing screen. I can't share.
You should have host rights, so you might not have logged in fully.
There we go. Thank you.
Interesting.
Okay, let me just move this out of the way, hide that. All right, so what I'm going to start out with is by showing you how you can enter your final grades. The first thing you'll need to do is log into Pipeline. Once you are into Pipeline, you're going to go into your Faculty tab. You're going to come down to Class Management, and that, oops, we'll go to that screen right there. 1 second. There we go. Faculty, Class Management. Once you're here, you come straight down to grades that Rob had just pointed out. You will need to make sure that you are in the correct term. Click on the Submit button, and then you will choose the class that you want to enter grades into. Go ahead and click on the Submit button. Wait for it. And then you'll see that you have the opportunity now to enter grades. Grades are very easy. You can just come down here, select the grades that you want to enter in for each student based on the grade book that Rob had just showed you. Do know that they only show 25 names per page. So for example, I have a 25 here. I would enter all the grades. I would click the Submit button. Then I would click this 26 through 27 or additional numbers, depending on what your numbers are. I would enter the additional grades right there. One of the things that you want to make sure that you know about is that when you are on this page, you will get logged out, 60-minute time limit. We can see that I entered at 2:15, so it's very helpful to let you know how much time you have. And 60 minutes seems like a lot, but if you get phone calls and a lot of distractions, then just be aware of that. You just need to log back in again, regrade everything, and then click Submit. I know for myself, if I do get called away and I've got only partial grades listed, what I will do is I'll click the Submit button for those partial grades, and then I'll come back to it just to cover my bases because I don't like to do work twice. Any questions on this? All right. As you're working towards the end of the semester, you might have this part right here. It's called your dashboard. I am logged into Canvas right now. And you might not want to see all of these at the end of the semester. There's 2 ways to clean this up pretty easily. One way to do that is, for example, you can see right here, these 3 vertical dots, the shish kebab. You can click on that. That will open up this flyout menu. Click on Move, and then just click on Unfavorite. You will ask you, and you'll say yes, and you'll submit, and you'll see that that cleans it up. It takes it away from there. Otherwise, if you have, let's say, a host and you don't want to do it six times, for example, you can come into Courses, come down to All Courses. Click on that. Anything that is starred shows up at the top that I was just showing you, and you can just click it or unclick it to turn it on or turn it off. And that's all you have to do. There's not even a submit button on this one. It's just a matter of whichever star is colored is the one that will show up at the top of your dashboard. Any questions?
Nope.
Another note on that is your spring classes will be at the bottom, and you can't move them to the top until they're published.
Right.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, people get lost. So make sure you're looking down below for your spring classes if you don't see them.
Thank you. The last bit that I want to let you know, and we talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the semester, or at the beginning of this meeting, I should say, is how to allow your students to access the class after the class is over, or if you want to restrict access after the class is over. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into one of my classes. I'm going to come down here to Settings. And the first thing you need to do is you can see that this is set to term. So in order to change the dates if I wanted to, I have to go to course. We can see I have a start date, but not an end date. So I am going to refresh this page. And there we go. We're at term again. I'm going to go to course. Huh, it did it again. No problem. Our last day of the semester is December 11th. What this does, this start and end, allows activity or interaction within the class. As soon as you publish the course, the student will be able to access or view the course, but not interact until it's between these two dates. If you do not want the student to interact with the course, then you can restrict the student from viewing the course before the start date. Once the start date happens, that the restriction is no longer there. Or if you do not want the students or any of the students to access the course after the course is over, then you can click this restrict students from viewing the course afterwards. As Rob was saying earlier, they have access to any published material, but they do not have access to quiz questions. So they can't pass it on to their roommates in future semesters. After you have gone through this, then you can update the course details right there. Just click that button.
If I remember right, that restrict access or restrict viewing after the course end date is on by default. So if you want them to access material afterwards, you want to make sure to uncheck that.
Mine were not checked, but you can always, everybody can go in. It's very easy to check it.
At this point, it's good to check because
Yeah.
we've all changed it over the years, right? So who knows what the default is anymore.
Right, exactly. Very easy. Any questions on restrictions or access?
So if I have that restrict students from viewing course after course end date checked, that means not only can they not see the quizzes, they can't see anything.
Right.
Correct.
Okay,
No homework, nothing, which you might want to do in your case.
yeah, yeah.
For my
Well,
marketing class, I want them to have access to all that stuff. So it just depends.
it's probably not an issue for me because they weren't even going to Canvas during the regular semester. So why would they go in the semester?
Well,
Yeah.
you got a point there. I know that I have a lot of my students, I'm photography, so I have a lot of students who are like, can I access this information later? So it's really up to you.
Yeah, okay, very good.
I'm going to hand this back over to Rob. He's going to talk about the syllabus update tool.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out about that too is you cannot change that check mark after the term ends. So like, I think it's the end of December. It's like around the 22nd, I think, when the term solidifies. We can't go in and add people to our courses or make those setting changes. Now that I'm saying that, I want to say, maybe Karen can verify, did they change that? I'm going to go look. I'm going to go to a class really quick from a previous semester. I believe that is locked out. I'll go ahead and steal sharing so everyone can see my fumbling. So if I go to fall 20 and I go into settings, can I change that box? Yes, so that has been changed. So you can like, if you wanted to leave it open for a semester or two and then shut it down, you can do that. That used to be prevented. So
good to know.
Yeah, very good to know. Next thing on the list is actually adding your syllabi. So one of the things that they want us to do every semester now is add your syllabus to with the syllabus upload tool. You could do that now, even if you're not finished with your course yet. So since my syllabus is completely in Canvas, what I'm going to do is simply go to this screen, hit Control or Command P, and save it as a PDF file and hit save. And this is my marketing course. And so then I would go to Pipeline, make sure I'm on the Faculty Class Management tab, go down to this syllabus upload tool, log in again, And you should see the same thing. I have to choose my term. This looks a lot like the grade packet submission tool. And I can click to upload, choose that syllabi I just downloaded, and now that's up and ready to go. If you have it as a PDF or a Word document, these are all the different file types you can upload to this. And I think it was Brooke asked about uploading a different gradebook file. So if you have your gradebook, if you're making any tweaks outside of Canvas, if it's on paper, you can submit a PDF file, or you can submit an XLS file or a CSV file to the gradebook upload tool as well. So that's another kind of step that we have to do to kind of wrap up the semester, is uploading a copy of the syllabus. Where am I in my notes?
What about,
Flex.
Rob,
Yeah.
what about the SLO scoring? Is that something we must do every semester, or is that only when we're asked?
That depends on your department.
Okay,
So as a part-timer, I've actually got my SLOs usually built into my class. This semester, I'm teaching 2 classes I've never taught before. So personally, I'm not going to be entering SLO data this semester. I'm also not being asked to do so. So that really just depends on if, and we just ended the cycle, I think. So we've got like 3 years to get data in there. So you don't have to necessarily do it this particular term.
okay.
I'm going to come back to that, but first I want to remind you how to check your flex hours. So that's the flex hours are the only thing that are not on here. And I think everyone in here right now are all adjuncts. So just as a reminder, if you don't enter your flex hours, you will get your paycheck docked. So make sure you get your flex hours entered. For the full-time, they have until the end of the academic or the accounting year to do it. But under faculty, go to resources and then click on the enter flex hours. That will take you to this screen. In the upper right-hand corner, you'll see your confirmed hours. Got a weird chime on my computer. Make sure it's not a chat thing. I don't see a chat. Cool.
Can you give me some of those like 1.9 hours extra you did or whatever?
Sure, why not? So I've gotten 8 hours out of 6, so I'm good to go. What you want to do is make sure that this is at least equal to that side, right? Anything that you've taken that you signed up through the FRC or through Flex, whether it was in service or an FRC session, make sure you come down to the bottom under my sessions and hit confirm. So see how this one says confirmed, but these ones don't. So this, I need to hit confirm and it'll calculate those onto my hours. If you don't hit confirm, it won't do it. So this is a mistake that we see all the time. So just make sure that anything you've signed up for, that you attended, that you come down to the bottom under my sessions and hit confirm, and then you should see those hours being added on here.
Does it have to be after it's over? Like,
Correct.
for example, I signed up for this class. If I try to hit confirm now, would it accept it, or does it have to be after?
It'll accept it because it has to be after it starts.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be able to confirm the one for tomorrow, but if you went in now, you could confirm the one for today.
Okay.
I have a question. Can I?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, for example, one of the problems, I teach at City College, but I also teach elsewhere, which is why I'm sitting on the floor. I'm a dance teacher and I'm sitting outside my dance studio right now to do this while my students are in there. They're not in session, don't worry. But my question was about, so a lot of the opportunities that we have for flex hours are outside of like hours that would actually work for me. They all are like conflicts.
Yep.
I noticed that you said that this was going to be posted to FRC afterwards. Is it possible to go back and watch some of those videos and then get credit for attending, even though we weren't at the actual session?
Absolutely. And so on our homepage,
yeah,
has not only the videos from this whole semester, so you can come up here and watch any of these. And it also has the ones, if we keep scrolling down, it'll have the ones from the spring semester. So if there's something that you missed that just seemed interesting, you can go back and watch those.
Made my day. If nothing else, like I'm so glad. I've just been so bummed that I didn't have a lot of the resources that you guys have been posting. I've been wanting to watch them. So I'm really glad that I know that now. Thank you.
It's all up there. And then you can just down at the bottom here under record an activity, you can put in what it was you did.
Uh-huh.
And I think FRC might be in here. Yeah, FRC training. And you just type in what the date you completed it. It's all an honor system.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. Great. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Mhm.
You know what I've done, Brooke, in the past, I haven't done it about 10 years, but when I was short, they are very flexible.
Yeah.
You read a book on your topic, like I teach math. So if I read a book about a certain topic on math and enter it, they would give it to you for that too.
Totally. I feel like I've had a lot of fun, creative things that I've done in the past, but there are a lot on here that I would actually like to know. So
Yeah.
It's so great. Thank you.
Yep, you got it. Yep, it's all up there. Let's see. So unless anyone has specific questions about the SLOs, I won't go through it all in detail. On the checklist page, if you were to click on this enter SLO scores and reflections, this actually will bring you to a Google Doc that is a step-by-step with screenshots on how to enter your SLO scores. I'm not sure why it's being a little slow today. There it goes. So it's literally walks you through with nice big red arrows exactly what to do in there. So just doing it very, very briefly, if I go to faculty and class management, I would just click on SLO scoring. I have different roles in eLumen, so I would have to make sure I'm set to faculty as my role. You guys should all have a single role as faculty. And the trick is to make sure that it still says fall 21 here. If you're seeing the wrong courses or things just don't look right, make sure that you're set to the proper course. I also teach a course in business and I teach a course in marketing. So I'm going to have different pull downs under here under different departments. So if you're teaching a cross-listed class that's like marketing and CIS, you got to go to both departments to enter your scores. And you'll notice that there's no scorecards here. So, and this is all in the instructions. To add my scorecard, I'm going to click on Find Assessment. Click on the box next to my course and just hit add to section. If you had multiple sections of the same class, you could say add to all my sections. So either one is fine. And when it comes up, don't worry about these guys over here. Just click on the scorecard that has the number on top of it. Sometimes you might see an extra icon here. You shouldn't, but it doesn't matter. Just click on that first one with the boxes and you should see all your students with the scores. Then you can just click through to add your scores. Any questions on that? Like I said, all the support is there. If you are doing the SLO scores and you're getting stuck, feel free to email us. We can always set up a separate time with you to help walk you through, but it should be, I know it's a funky system, but it shouldn't be too bad to go through. Questions on that? I have a feeling a lot of people aren't entering SLO scores this term, and that's okay, which is why I'm kind of glazing over a little bit. The only other thing I want to specifically point out, and I want to do this because we will probably have more questions about this kind of information this semester than we do other semesters, is student incomplete forms. Okay. The FRC doesn't actually have anything to do with incompletes. That's all going to be handled through admissions and through IT. So if you have a student for some reason who's going to take an incomplete or finish their class outside of the semester, they need to fill out, or you need to fill out an incomplete contract. And there's a link here for that. That goes to admissions. The student has to sign it as well. And once it's approved, as the instructor, you need to contact the help desk at helpdesk@sbcc.edu, and they'll make a separate class where your student will have access to the information to wrap up the things that they need. Okay. And then these are just a few reminders from IT. If you have students that are showing up on your roster on your grades, you can't remove them. We can't remove them either. If you have a student who's been dropped and they're still showing up in Canvas, I would also contact the help desk or admissions and make sure they were actually dropped from your roster, because they should be removed. So you don't want to be doing any of that stuff. For the spring, if you have students who are waitlisted, if you guys have whitelists at all, I don't. They are not enrolled and won't have access to your Canvas shell until they actually finish the enrollment process. You can add other faculty to your course. To do so, you're going to go under people. So if you wanted to share your shell with someone else, you can do that. If you're adding someone, you have basically a couple options in here. IT asks us to remind you not to add someone as a teacher, because they are not, you're the official teacher of record, not the other person, right? So if you want someone to have full access to your class, you can add them as a co-teacher. If you want to give someone access to their class so they can see what you did, but not copy your material and not go in and change anything, add them as an observing teacher. They can go through and they can peruse everything without seeing grades and without diving into anything else. So if you can avoid it, don't ever add someone as a teacher at all. You can also, I think, add another instructor as an instructor added student, and then they would see your course from a student perspective. I've done that with folks before, just to give them an idea of how my course is laid out without giving them the instructor view. That can be handy sometimes. You don't want to add students yourself for any reason. Back to my sheet here. The sheet. Again, after that semester end date, which I believe is like around the 22nd of December, you will no longer be able to add faculty to your class. On part of Friday's training session, we will show how to add things to the Commons. So let's say you want to give someone material from your spring 21 class or your fall 20 class, or even this semester class, but later on, you can move material into what they call the Commons, and then faculty can get it from there. Even we can't go into your previously closed classes and add faculty there. That's just not an option to do that. And I think that is it. Let me double check the checklist here. Yep, looking good. Any other questions? Anything you guys want to see again? Anything that's popped into mind that'll help you end the semester smoothly?
So just to summarize, there's 3 different things we have to do with grades. Make sure they're all inputted into Canvas, like there can't be any zeros. And then we have to go and put them in under pipeline, faculty, class management, grades.
Yep.
And then faculty gradebook pack submission tool as well.
Yep. And just to verify, when you're looking at your gradebook in Canvas, there should be no dashes.
No
Zeros are
dashes.
okay, no
Zeros
dashes.
Oh, zeros.
We
Okay.
want zeros instead of dashes.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, and the part of the reason for that is, if we can dive in here to my real class, if I go into grades, if I have a dash that doesn't have a value, it
Mhm.
actually inflates the student's grade. So Canvas doesn't know what the grade is,
Uh-huh.
so it treats it initially as full credit. So when a
Oh.
student goes in and looks at their grade, and I
Mhm.
don't have a great example of this. Let's try Olivia. So if I go into a student, I can click on their grades and see the grades from the student perspective. And what this actually does is you'll see a little checkbox here. Calculate based only on my graded assessments. This is checked on by default. So if you weren't entering zeros, this will change, right? So this is their grade right now, but if I uncheck this, she actually has this grade in the class, not this,
Oh, wow.
because all the zeros aren't in there yet. The final hasn't been calculated, other things haven't been calculated. So by the end of the class, you want these two things to be equal, right? So if all your grades are entered, that shouldn't change at all.
That makes sense.
And again, that final for my class is 15% of their grade, right? So come next week, that'll solidify and hopefully all will be well. Cool. Any other questions?
Do you have like obviously not right now, but earlier on in the session, sorry, in the season, do you have classes like this that help you to set up? I remember doing it with you before, the Canvas stuff a little bit better, like with the weighted grades and all of that. I told you I really screwed my math
Yeah.
this year, so it's just a mess. But do you offer those at the beginning of the semesters?
Yeah, usually during week 2 and week 3, we'll have like a Canvas basics and also like a gradebook session just on the gradebook to make sure everything's kind of squared away before the semester starts.
Great. Okay.
But if you want to meet and look at your spring shell sometime before the end of we're also here after the end of the semester, so somebody will be around up until like the actual holidays. So if you want to meet and look at your gradebook setup before January or even before classes actually start, we can always work with you one-on-one to make sure it's looking better.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank
That
you.
way, yeah, at least get you squared away a little bit before
Really.
you go
For the
live.
funness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? All right, I'm gonna stop this recording.